Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Makes Premier Media podcast. Every fortnight we get together to talk about movies, TV, and online content and help you answer the question, would you go see a movie if you knew you were going to get coronavirus from it? Probably not. I'm your host Ashley Hobley. Joining me today, under slight duress, Tom Blight.
I mean, if it was the Batman or something, maybe.
That's how I should have opened it. What movie would you see
to
risk coronavirus? Yeah. What movie did you see to risk coronavirus? Do you think?
Morbius. So it makes it worse.
All right, we'll talk about that in a second. On today's show, we'll be talking about what's in our watch history. We're covering a little bit of news, giving some thumbs to trailers, and talking about this week's top 3. Yes, so Morbius, we watched it. We did a spoiler cast over on the all-new Marvelcast podcast feed. You should go check that out if you've watched Morbius, or if you just want to hear us talk about how not good Morbius is. Dylan, do you want to share your non-spoilery thoughts of the latest Sony Spider-Man related villain movie?
It's fucking horrible. It gave me COVID.
Put that on a poster. Yeah, it's pretty bland and boring for the most part. I mean, it's what you would expect is like the basic story of Morbius. Jared Leto plays Morbius in the most like normal boring role that he's probably ever performed in. Yeah. Matt Smith's in the movie. He's the bright shining star, but even, he doesn't get a lot to do, but he's easily the person who cares the most going into this movie and is adding a bit of personality to it, but for the most part it is not worth your time.
Also, to clarify, that wasn't a joke and bad taste. I do have COVID, and I did catch it at some point seeing Morbius.
You're pretty sure that's what it was?
Well, who's to say if it was there? But I mean, that's definitely the day.
Sure, 8 people at your work have had COVID, but, it was probably Morbius.
Yeah. I'm blaming on Morbius.
All right. Yeah, so Morbius in cinemas now. Also in cinemas now, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Of course, we did a spoiler cast on this podcast feed. You can check that out. But Dylan, do you want to share your non-spoilery thoughts of Sonic the Hedgehog 2?
Sonic's really good. I had a great time with this movie. If you like the first one, you'll very much enjoy this one. Obviously, it's a kids/family film, but if you enjoy movies with fun little characters and fun little times, if you like Sonic more so, like, I like the games fine, but I really liked the animated show growing up, and I got a lot of feels for that coming out of this, which was really good to see. And yeah, I think this is just a slightly above the first one. And I'm definitely keen for them to make a third one.
Awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. If you liked Sonic the Hedgehog, the first one, you'll like this one. A lot of fun. Jim Carrey is going full bolt. Jim Carrey gets the opportunity to do even more crazy and wacky things. The addition of the other animal CGI characters are really fun and build the world more. I would argue there's probably not as cool a sequence as like Sonic like taking out all the rockets in the first movie, but it's still a lot of fun. So yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in cinemas now. Of course, you can check out our spoilercast. I would recommend you do that. I've got a review up at explosionelement.com for The Bad Guys, the new DreamWorks animation film based on the children's graphic novels written by Australian author Aaron Blabley. The Bad Guys. So I gave it a 7.5 out of 10 on the website and said, The Bad Guys is a good time from start to finish, filled with fun action sequences, silly humor, and fantastically paced. The movie is sure to have the whole family entertained.
Duh.
What?
Duh?
Oh, duh.
Duh.
Duh, because it's The Bad Guys, yeah. So this is it's based on the books that inspired this song. 1 billion, yeah. That was my fantastic joke when I went to see this advanced screening. Yeah, so it is a heist movie. You follow the bad guys who are a crew of criminals. Mr. Wolf, the leader and pickpocket, played by Sam Rockwell. Mark Maron as Mr. Snake, the cynical, like, second-in-command dude who's a really good safecracker. You got Mr. Piranha, played by Anthony Ramos, who's, like, the muscle, but he's, like, a piranha, so that's quite amusing. It's short. But, yeah, and he's also, you know, for the kids there, he's got bad flatulence, you know, which is beautifully animated as this green cloud throughout the movie. So there's a plus. You got Miss Tarantula, played by Aquafina, who's the expert hacker in Tech Whiz. And you got Mr. Shark, played by Craig Robertson, who is the master of disguise. Very amusing, of course, in the trailers you would have seen. He plays, at one point, he steals a Mona Lisa dressed up as the Mona Lisa. And that gag is constantly used throughout the entire movie. One of my favorites is they're trying to infiltrate, like, this facility. And he dresses up as a scientist's long-lost father. But it's just him, like, with a mustache and stuff, as a giant shark. And the scientist is, like, fully believes it. And he wants to play catch. It's, like, very amusing. But yes, they're a great crew of criminals. But on their latest heist, they get captured. But Mr. Wolf manages to talk the governor, played by Zazie Beetz, into giving them the opportunity to reform with the help of a philanthropist, guinea pig, Rupert Marmalade the Fourth, played by Richard Ayoade. Let's go with one of those.
I've never had to say his name. Sorry.
Richard Ayoade. Yeah, super fun. I think it's like a fun, like, family-friendly heist movie. It's got all those kind of elements, you know, the car chases, the flashbacks to what they did earlier to reveal, like, how the events unfolded and that kind of stuff. Those cuts to multiple people doing things at the same time. Yeah, it's a really good time. And then it's also got the story of these bad guys trying to become good guys, potentially. And, like, you know, Mr. Wolf, like, kind of feeling like he wants to be good, but drawn to the bad life by his friends, who are pretty much their family. And, like, yeah, it's a really interesting, like, fun story. It maybe doesn't have the emotional weight that some of the best in the genre have, like, but I had a really good time. And, you know, DreamWorks has been pretty successful with a lot of these books of, like, book adaptations of, like, building them into larger universes. So if we got more bad guy movies or, like, a TV show or something, I would be pretty keen, because I think it visually looks quite interesting. It's doing this 2D, 3D kind of looks like 2D animation style. It's quite interesting world of, like, obviously you've got humans and anthropomorphic animals, but then you've also got animals, which is kind of weird. Like, yeah. This whole thing. But yeah, I think it's well animated, and, like, some of the cool car chases and stuff look really good. Yeah, I would recommend Bad Guys. It's, you know, school holidays time. Definitely worth checking out in cinemas.
Richard Ayoade.
Richard Ayoade. I think that sounds right.
I believe is.
All right, that's how you say it. He's very funny as well. Like, across the board, the voice cast is really good. Probably Sam Rockwell's the standout, because, like, he's the lead in that, but doing his best, like, George Clooney kind of impersonation, like, charming criminal. But yeah, Bad Guys, really good. I got to see an advanced screening of Everything Everywhere All at Once, so you probably remember this as the trailer starring Michelle Yeoh that dropped on Twitter and blew everybody's minds.
They're ripping off Marvel, I hear.
No, well, it does involve the story of a multiverse. The plot summary is: when an interdimensional rupture unravels reality, an unlikely hero must channel newfound powers to fight bizarre and bewildering dangers from the multiverse as the fate of the world hangs in the balance. Really, it's a story of a woman who's, like, in a, like, sad, disappointing marriage, being investigated by the IRS, who's having trouble with connecting to her daughter, is having trouble connecting to her father, who goes to the IRS to be investigated or whatever. And while she's doing that, her husband is taken over by another universe's version of her husband, and who believes that this version of Michelle Yeoh's character is the version that can save the entire multiverse. Shenanigans go on from there. This movie is fantastic. One of the most creative movies you'll see in a while. Unbelievably funny. It's crazy funny. So this movie is from the Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, who had previously done Swiss Army Man.
And more importantly, turn down for what? Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, they did the Turn Down for What music video.
Yeah, classic. Where they fucking smash through all the buildings and stuff.
Interesting. But yeah,
Swiss Army Man.
Swiss Army Man.
Which you haven't seen,
I haven't seen. I'm definitely keen to watch it. Probably watch it before you get to watch this. So I can contrast and compare. But that was obviously very silly. This is also quite silly at certain points. There is possibly my favorite running gag through this entire movie, featuring Harry Shum Jr. As a chef. Every time he showed up, hysterical. Crazy movie. I don't want to mention too much about any of the crazy sequences because Dylan wants to see it. Everybody should go see it. Easily the best movie I've watched so far this year.
Yeah, I've seen lots of rave reviews.
Everybody's raving about it. It's annoying that it's it doesn't come out in Australia until the 14th of April. But yeah, when you can see everything everywhere all at once.
Give me to about June when it's on VOD.
No, I think it's going to get a wide release.
We'll see.
Otherwise, that's a movie worth getting COVID. And by COVID, I mean getting on a plane and going to see it. I honestly would be shocked if this does not get a wide release. This should be making a ton of money. It's just that good.
Yeah.
I'm keen to go back and watch it day one.
I don't know. No one likes watching anything other than comic book movies these days, or stuff with big stars.
I don't know.
But I'll say as to what you're saying, Swiss Army Man, for people who haven't seen it, a movie about a guy finds a dead body played by Daniel Radcliffe, and the body just farts all the time. Sounds utterly ridiculous, but the reason that I had hope, and I've been excited for this, is that movie is very fucking funny, but I also teared up and got a lot of feels by the end. And if I just told you the premise, you're like, how? That doesn't sound like that would work. It's they did such a good job at making you care for the character who's played by
Paul
Dano, and the relationship and everything. And it's just those two. It's just him acting against a dead body and Daniel Radcliffe. But the way they do that movie, it's a fantastic movie. And very silly concept, but they hit the human element. Home run with the human element. So that's what makes it work.
Awesome. All right. Yes, everything, everywhere, all at once. See it in cinemas as soon as humanly possible. If you've got an advanced screening somewhere around you, go see it. And see it with an audience. I think that's key as well. I'm sure it'll be fun to see by yourself later on TV, but hearing everybody else react to the craziness that was on screen was delightful and a lot of fun. It is bonkers. Dylan, in preparation of the Oscars, which we'll talk about a little bit later, you checked out The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which just released on Disney+. Did Jessica Chastain deserve the best?
No, it should have been Kristen Stewart, but she's good. She's fine. Not my personal pick, but she's definitely the best part of this movie. I don't really like this movie. It felt very long, overdrawn. A lot of the scenes felt very drawn out. Just really hitting over the head with the point of them. Lots of for people who don't know, so it's a movie about what are their names? So you got Tammy Faye Baker and Jim Baker, who's played by Andrew Garfield. It's a true story. Televangelist. It's the story of their sort of rise to stardom in televangelism and the downfall led on by sort of using money from the church for their own personal, well, it's Jim, not her, so reasons, and like it sort of covers some other real life televangelists in this, played by people like Vincent D'Onofrio and a couple other people that are in this as well. But the film starts when Tammy's young, introduces her as a little girl. Then you get to see when she first meets Jim. You get to see like how they like go around touring and start like just doing these shows around the country until eventually they get on TV, and then they start their own station, and how everything sort of spirals out from there. But yeah, there's just a lot of really like long drawn out sermon moments and stuff, and just it really, like, I feel like the movie could have just been tightened up a lot more, and I feel like there's stuff that potentially would have made the movie more interesting is sort of not included for the sake of having scenes that are more like what potentially like more showy, rather than like more digging into some of the characters' actual human elements or whatever. But yeah, I don't really think it's a good movie. I think her performance is good, not great. Andrew Garfield's the same, like he's good here, but very like similar to her. He's not quite as bad as her, but like they're both just playing very like heightened characters. Like, but I mean, they show you. I've looked up real footage and they show something in the movie too. I'm like, it's kind of what they sounded like, I guess. But it's sort of ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know. I would have given it like maybe a 5 or something. The movie itself, I wouldn't really rate it, to be honest.
All right. I checked out the new film starring Cole Sprouse and Lana Condor that came to HBO Max or Binge here in Australia, Moonshot. It follows Cole Sprouse plays a young barista named Walt, who has been constantly applying to the Covey Industries Student Mars program, in which they send students to Mars because they've obviously started up a colony over on Mars. But he's unsuccessful. Lana Condors plays a girl who's like studying college, has her own plan for the future. Her boyfriend is currently boyfriend and his family are all at Mars. His family adopted her pretty much when her mother died, and this kind of weird thing. But she is talked into buying a commercial ticket, which is very expensive to go to Mars. And Walt uses his connection to her, to smuggle his way onto the spaceship to get across to Mars. And it's them having this journey over the several days of the spaceship trip to Mars, like getting to know each other, and like him trying to pretend to be a boyfriend because that's the only way that he can keep her cover and that kind of stuff. It's very predictable, and like it goes exactly the way you think it's going to go, based on the concept and like it being a rom-com. But I enjoy those two actors. I think they're quite charming. I think that they've got chemistry, and it's quite enjoyable seeing them on screen. And it's like a kind of a weird setting as well. So yeah, I quite enjoyed it. But it's not fantastic. It's like a perfectly enjoyable, like a 7 out of 10 kind of movie. So yeah, that's Moonshot. Dylan, you checked out a documentary on Stan, Revealed.
What's that one about? What's that about?
Revealed, the Australian documentary.
Oh, right. That one. I forgot what it was called. Yeah. Revealed. What's it? It's like the Nazi, it's got like a subtitle. Fuck, I can't even remember what the subtitle is now. Try and look that up. I think it's like, I can't remember if Revealed's like, they're going to call
Revealed Amongst Us, Neo-Nazi Australia.
There you go. Yeah, this is pretty good. This, so this is like I can't remember I don't really watch the news channels. Was it 60 Minutes report? I think that was done. So this is like sort of the behind the scenes of that story, I guess, or the making of that 60 Minute story, I guess is the easiest way to sort of explain it. So that 60 Minute story happened. And that's like, more for TV, made for, primetime news. There's certain elements they can't include, themes, stuff that wasn't used. It's like more talking about it. It's more of a formal investigation bit that's included on that show. This is I can't remember the main dude, the journalist, sorry. But he sets it up, explains, I want to do this investigation, blah, 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 blah. They talk to someone at the start, like, do you think it's a good idea to get someone on the inside? They're advised to not do it. He does it anyway. So he gets someone on the inside who you obviously never meet or you never see, because I presume he'd probably get killed, or there'd be a risk of his life if anyone knew his real name, whatever. And obviously his voice has changed throughout the whole thing. But a lot of the footage that's in this doco is from a hidden cam he had on. So he gets into this Australian Nazi group, who, I mean, the film opens with them of footage of them doing up in fucking middle of nowhere, New South Wales or Victoria, wherever it was, I can't remember, like up in the bush somewhere, doing like a full on, hail to bloody Hitler and all this other white power chants and stuff like that. Like, it's quite full on, especially if you're like completely oblivious to this sort of stuff happening in Australia. This is going to be very eye-opening, I think, to watch this. But yeah, so he infiltrates this group, starts attending some of their meetings, gets to know everyone. I don't know if they give her exact time of how long he's there, but it's definitely months. Like, he's definitely like attending the group, trying to get close to and find out as much about the head people as you can, which then leads to a 60 Minutes report where they literally just out-name a bunch of people, being like, this is so-and-so, he's involved in this group, he works at security at Crown Casino. This is so-and-so, and that's what they do in the 60 Minutes report, like just name and shame a bunch of these people who are part of this group. Some people's faces are blurred out in this because they're actually underage. There's a bunch of people who were like a couple kids who are maybe 17, I think. One who was 18 and stuff, and then they're all sort of all over the age. But yeah, I mean, they're full on like Nazis. Like, they have a picture of Hitler in the house. The main dude has a picture of Hitler in the house. They celebrate Hitler's birthday and throw a birthday party for him. They, on social media, they preach about how they're not for violence. However, behind the scenes, as you see in this documentary, that they definitely talk about violence, and we need to basically talk about killing or segregating non-whites and all this sort of stuff. So it's quite full on. I definitely think it's worth watching though. But yeah, thematically it's quite heavy, especially considering it's it's local. It's not, this isn't America, this is Australia. So
all right. So that is revealed. What did I say it was? Amongst Us, Neo-Nazis, Australia. You can watch it on Stan.
That's the first of a bunch of docos they're going to be doing too, which I'm pretty keen for the rest. It's like a partnership they've got with a few media outlets in Australia, whatever, to do some of these documentaries. So I think that's a cool team up.
Makes sense, because obviously a lot of these documentaries are surprisingly popular, especially on streaming services. We'll talk about one later, but I did watch WeWork on all the making and breaking of a $47 billion unicorn. So this tells the story of the WeWork company, which pretty much was a company that just sets up workspaces. It's pretty much like a real estate company, but kind of had cultivated a work culture of a party atmosphere, and then had it kind of expanded in these weird ways into We Live, which was like a housing situation in which a bunch of people could have these living spaces that like communal spaces, kind of led by this crazy CEO Adam Newman, who was a very charismatic figure, who was kind of that, because he was so charismatic, he was able to get investments from so many different people. And kind of tells the story of how that company got a $40 billion valuation only for them to pretty much go down the toilet. The documentary, I guess, is kind of relevant because they're doing the We Crashed series over on Apple TV Plus, starring Jared Leto and Anne Hathaway, following that same kind of story. I thought it was quite interesting. We're getting a lot of these business kind of stories lately. I thought it was quite well done. And weirdly, it's kind of kind of a story about why office spaces are worth investing in and like having to a certain degree, like how the culture of like companionship is important, especially obviously they shot this during COVID, so a lot of these interviews are like these people have been in their homes for long periods of time and haven't been able to see their work colleagues and that kind of stuff. So I thought it was quite interesting. So yeah, I watched this over on Amazon Prime. Yeah, quite an interesting documentary. Dylan, you've got a couple of Shudder things that you've watched. Talk to me about The Spine of Night.
Spine of Night is a rotoscoped animated movie that is very obviously inspired by heavy metal, the animated movie from the 80s, not the genre of music. It's very good, but also like just sort of all over the place at the same time, which is sort of its downfall. So it's set up where the movie starts and you have this character which is played by Lucy Lawless, who's like, again, there's like lots of stuff in this movie. I'm like, why? Other than just to be like, we're fucking adult animation. It's like, she's like completely naked, this character, for the entire movie, and she's a witch, which I guess is the thing. It's like, witches are always naked in things, or like whatever. Anyway, she's like, crawls up this like frozen mountain, which point I'm like, sure, you'd be cold. Anyway, there's a guardian guarding like a bunch of flowers. He's played by Richard E. Grant, and then he's like guarding them because they're like powerful flowers. You give magic or whatever, and he's like, well, you could never like come these. They can never get to the hand of man. And she's like, too bad, because I already had some. And then the rest of the movie is sort of her explaining to him what mankind has been doing with these flowers, or what she's been doing with them as well, because she's had access to them. And so it's sort of like, I think it's like 4 stories, like that all connect, but they're all sort of different angles. So like the first one she tells is about how she like gets chased out of the forest by like the king, local king, who's played like by Patton Oswalt. Then you have another story which is about this eventually this other dude who gets access to the flowers and wants to use them to learn magic. And by the end of the movie, you've got like this whole like waging war and whatever. Like the universe, the sort of fantasy world that's set up here is like really cool, but there's just like such little splatterings of stuff throughout the time. It's only like 90 minutes or whatever as well. Like it'll suddenly like start the next story and you'll be like, wait, where the fuck did these characters come from? Have I met them before? And it's that just sort of weird disconnect, but it's very violent, very gory, which is trying to be, which is fine. My sort of other major problem was that I hated the way it moved in the fight scenes though. So, and I don't think this is actually technically a problem with the animation, because there's no reason you can't do the rotoscope stuff and have the fight scenes just look a bit better. But every time someone was fighting, they would just move so slow. Like it just was sort of weird. Like it was just annoying me, you know, like almost to the point that it's like someone comes in, it's like, oh, and then like they're waiting for the sword to come down before even moving. Like it was just sort of like annoying me throughout the movie, that sort of thing. But overall, I definitely enjoyed it, and I feel like if you're a fan of heavy metal or you know, like this genre or, you know, adult animation sort of stuff, then yeah, I definitely would suggest checking it out. It's got a cool voice cast and yeah, cool sort of world, but just would have required it. I think it just maybe could have been a bit longer and expanded on some parts would have helped as well.
All right. You also watched See For Me.
See For Me is sort of an atypical thriller that does some more modern age things, I guess, with it. So it's about this character, Sophie, who is blind, and she is cat sitting for this person's house, like as a side gig or whatever, cat sitting. And then what happens is while she's cat sitting there for that night, the house gets broken into by this bunch of people who are looking to rob the safe there, because it's like a rich lady's house or whatever. So it's called See For Me because earlier in the opening of the film, when she gets locked outside the house at one stage, instead of ringing the owner, her mum had already told her about this new app called See For Me, which you can ring, and someone who's, I guess, agreed to do the app or like taken it as a job, they'll answer the call, and then you can sort of hold your phone and they will help you. It doesn't actually sound that unrealistic, to be honest, like as an idea for an app, I guess. I mean, I'm sure there's some like legal things why maybe it can't, I don't know. But I mean, it's not like super unrealistic. You know, it's literally like someone who potentially needs help to see something because they need it. They ring, you answer. Like if I was to answer, I'd be like, cool, can you just move your phone to the left? Cool, what you've dropped on the ground there. They say thank you, end of call on the app. You're like, that's the general idea. So when she gets these people invade the house, she calls the same person that she got help from before, who turns out to be like ex-military or whatever, something like that, because of course. And she sort of helps her out through this home invasion. So it doesn't do anything particularly new, I would say, but it does a lot of things well. It's also very brisk. Like it definitely doesn't overstay its welcome. I think it's only just 90 minutes again. I liked all of the cast. I think all the performances are really good. The main person, Skylar Davenport, their performance was really good in this. The whoever plays the other person on the phone, who was that? Jessica Parker Kennedy, who's Nora West Allen in The Flash, is who most people would know from. She's really good as the person on the phone helping her out through Sophie out through this event. So yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. It's definitely, nothing super special, but if you like these sort of home invasion thrillers, I definitely feel like it's one worth checking out.
Awesome. So that's coming to Shudder sometime soon?
This week, I think, yeah.
All right. I checked out the first 2 episodes of Slow Horses, the new series that's come to Apple TV Plus, starring Gary Oldman, Kristen Scott Thomas, Jack Lowden, Olivia Cook, in which Jack Lowden plays a British MI5 agent, River Cartwright, who after a botched training mission is assigned to Slow House, which is known as the place that agents go to as like kind of a punishment. Like they're off the grid, away from all the main action, and kind of doing random stuff. Yeah, this feels like a very British like spy show. Like it feels like any of those ones. Like I'm trying to think cannot think of any of the names of any of them. All the ones that would be on the ABC because they're all done by the BBC. I want to say.
Oh, yeah, I know the sort of shows you're talking about.
I'm gonna have to, because there's one I'm thinking of that I just
starts
can't.
with S.
Spooks. That's the one I'm thinking.
That's it. See, I was like, it starts with S. That's the one I was thinking of too.
Teamwork.
Spooks, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like
they did a movie.
Yeah.
Remember?
Sure.
No? Yeah.
Feels like that. I think it's weird seeing Gary Oldman in this role, who was pretty much playing a version of. He's playing the worst possible boss ever, where pretty much he is antagonizing all the people who are under his care. Like his assistant is a reformed alcoholic, and he's just he drinks after every night, and like pours 2 drinks and offers her 1 every single night. And like he's actively trying to get River to quit the force, like full on telling him that he doesn't want him to be there, while also being very much like William Dafoe in The Lighthouse and just letting him rip constantly. There's a lot of flatulence in this show. But the main case that is involved is there's a young Middle Eastern man who's been abducted by right-wing nationalists, and they're planning to behead him unless their demands are met. So that, that's the kind of core case that's happening in the first 2 episodes. River Cartwright is kind of forcing himself onto the investigation because he's like he desperately wants to be back on the A-team or whatever. And yeah, I'm quite enjoying it. It is a little bit of a slow burn. But yeah, interesting 2 first episodes. Yeah, quite enjoyable. I'm enjoying it so far. Dylan, you've gotten around to checking out the first 2 episodes of Severance.
Yeah, I like this show. I'm definitely going to try and catch up now that I've got the time. And it's so in case people missed the trailer, I don't remember what this one is. It's what's the fucking actor's name?
Adam Scott.
Adam Scott, yeah. For some reason I was about to say Adam McKay. I'm like, that is not it. Adam Scott. Yes, Adam Scott sort of stars in this one. It's so he works in an office along with 3 other people who are played by, let's see here, because I can only remember one person, obviously. Zach Cherry, Britt Lower, and then the John Turturro is the other main person. And then, like, the manager, head of the office is played by Patricia Arquette. But the thing about the office is no one really there knows what the fuck they're doing, and it doesn't make sense even to you as a viewer. So they're literally, like, clicking on random numbers, and it doesn't, like, I have no idea. Like, it's just very weird. And the thing is that everyone who works there has had an operation that makes it when they go down this elevator to enter their workspace, they're suddenly, like, their consciousness is separated, I guess. So, like, they'll remember their work life, will remember what they did the previous day at their work life, but their work life self doesn't have a clue what they do on the outside, to the point that they refer to each other. So they're almost like completely different characters. Like the person at the work life, they'll call their real selves their outies. And then when they refer to their working people, they call those people their innies. And they have no idea. So, but yeah, it's like they'll hop in the elevator to leave work, and then as far as they're aware, the next second is they're back at work. So there's even a conversation they have in the second episode about sleep and how the new character who's introduced, played by Britt Lower, Hallie, she's like the new recruit sort of thing. She like brings up how doesn't like, it's weird that she doesn't feel like she slept, but she doesn't feel tired and all this stuff because she doesn't actually remember sleeping, because she doesn't do that. She doesn't sleep. She just works. And that's all they do is work. They don't actually do anything else. So there's some like interesting sort of themes and ideas that come up with what's actually happening. There's lots of questions, of course, about this place. And another thing that's set up in the first episode is that the 4th person who used to work there that's been replaced by Hallie suddenly left. However, that character shows up in Adam Scott's life, like real life, and knows him and says like, hey, come find me at this place if you want the truth about what's happening there, sort of thing. Like he somehow escaped and he's on the run because he says that people are after him because he knows the truth of what's happening at the severance floor and all this sort of stuff. So there's lots of cool ideas happening here. It's definitely an interesting show that I'm keen to see where it goes. It's very weird though, very weird concept and stuff going on. There's some other stuff lots of stuff about the other characters I don't know that I'm hopefully will learn about them in their real life, because the only character you get to see is Adam Scott's character. And you do learn in the first episode that the reason he sort of accepted this, because that was another question in the first episode, like why would someone do this? Like why would someone separate themselves to forget what they do for 8 hours, 5 days a week sort of thing? And it's explained earlier, it's because his wife died, or so, don't know how or whatever, like, but she died, and it's implied more or less that the reason he took it was because it means that there's 8 hours a day he doesn't have to feel that pain. Like he's just gone.
Oh.
So there's like a dark setup, I guess, to their so that's why he sort of took on the work. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So that's over on Apple TV Plus. Yeah. Let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. Dylan, you checked out Windfall. Movie that I've seen a bit of divisive opinions of.
I didn't mind it. I don't think it's great. Definitely sits on the sort of quirky sort of movie side that I definitely know that I will like more than other people, I guess. Like I sort of like going into it, Charlie McDowell directed it. I like the one I love quite a bit. I know that got some hit and miss reviews as well. This, for people who don't know, I think we did talk about it on here, maybe the trailer or something, but the premise is that Jason Segel is breaking into a house, of a rich person's house. He thinks that no one's going to be there. However, those people turn up. It's played by Jesse Plemons, who's like a big-time CEO. They never explain where he works, but it's more or less implied like he's a Tim Cook or a Jeff Bezos, or, you know, like someone pretty big.
Yeah.
And his wife's played by Lily Collins. So at first he just wants money. I'll spoil maybe the first half hour just to explain like why the movie goes for full 90 minutes and isn't just over in like the first 10 minutes. It's that he tries, like at first he gets bumped into when they're trying to leave. And he like, she spots him. He's like, okay, I just need you to get me some money and stuff, which they give him like, you know, like $2,000 cash. And then when he goes to leave, he realizes there's a camera somewhere and that they have video footage. So then he goes back and then he has to like figure out, like get them to explain where this footage is and all this stuff. And then he's like, well, we don't know who that camera belongs to. And he's like, what the fuck? Now I need more money because I'm going to have to start my life fresh away from you. I need enough money to start a brand new life. So he ends up having to stay there longer with them while Jesse Plemons' character works to get the money that he needs somehow because it's a massive amount of money. And then more or less the rest of the movie is just these characters playing off one another, exploring their history, the weird relationship between Jesse Plemons and what the fuck? I just forgot the name already. Lily Collins, like their like relationship and trying to find out what this character of Jason Segel's actually is and if he purposely picked this house and has a history of the CEO character or not, sort of thing. But yeah, I think it's okay. Maybe the premise and idea starts to go a bit thin with the 90 minutes. That could definitely be a valid criticism, but otherwise, I thought it's enjoyable. I'd probably give it a 6, but I could definitely see a lot of people not really liking it because, yeah, I mean, it's literally just those 3 characters for 90 minutes. So, I mean, there's no like massive twist or anything to change things up, but yeah.
All right. Speaking of rotoscoped movies, you checked out Apollo 10.5: A Space Age Childhood.
This will be Oscar nominated and it won't win. It'll lose to Lightyear. But another movie about space. But yeah, so this is Richard Linklater's latest. It is the premise is that, because we did talk about the trailer a couple weeks ago again, or a couple episodes ago, whenever it was, but the premise is that the kid, whose name I can't remember, it doesn't really matter, he is brought up, NASA approaches him and says, hey, we made a spacecraft that's like just a little bit too small. We need you to like come pilot that, which is sort of the background story to the movie. The majority of this movie is just a period piece about that time and that age, growing up. So it's very obviously Richard Linklater's, you know, him like sort of putting his own memories of that time and that period, the space race, Vietnam War, what shows were popular on TV, what music, all that sort of stuff, family life. I don't know if he had a big family like this and that's sort of relevant, but that's also another part. Like I think it's like 5 kids, you know, that sort of thing. But the whole movie is narrated by Jack Black, who's playing the older version of that character. So he'll be like, and there's a lot of Jack Black talking because it'll be like, you know, and then on Saturdays we'll go to the fair and we'll do this and blah, blah, blah. Jimmy would say this and we'll do, like, it's a lot of like narration stuff happening, but it's beautifully animated. I love the use of the sort of, I guess, live action performances paired with, there's other stuff too they have in the movies too, like, say interview segments from talk shows back then, music clips, movie clips, stuff that they've like reanimated and stuff that looks really cool. But yeah, it's definitely an exploration of a period of time. I can definitely see people getting a lot more enjoyment out of this if they have appreciation or lived during this time period, I guess, because reference wise and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely really, really enjoyed it. I gave it an 8 on Trakt, and I would definitely recommend it, especially if you're a Richard Linklater fan. Like if you like Richard Linklater movies in general, where he just, I know complaints from people who don't like them is like, what's the fucking story? Because, you know, there's lots of just movies that are about just like characters and themes and stuff, like yeah. It's a thing. Like it's not really like a big, you know, this is similar. I mean, this is similar. So yeah.
All right.
As someone who thought Boyhood was a 10 out of 10, I very much enjoyed this.
Okay. You also checked out Judd Apatow's latest film, The Bubble.
Don't watch it. It's just terrible. So the trailer was really good, right? Let's boil this down. Trailer was really good. Premise of this movie, really good. Trailer shows a lot of promise. The movie's bad. I didn't laugh once. It's definitely the sort of thing that was funnier in premise, but in execution, it just doesn't land any of the jokes. The whole idea that like you really have to buy into feeling sorry for these characters, having to quarantine and all this sort of stuff that you're supposed to feel bad for them, but they're all just like sort of annoying celebrity actor characters, so you don't really feel bad for them at all. All of the jokes are like, it's weird. Like, they're neither like sort of really raunchy as you'd expect from Apatow or really like PG either. It's like sort of weirdly in the middle. I don't know. Karen Gillan's like fine as the lead, and she is the lead. Like, I don't know if you could tell based off the trailer, but she is the main character of the movie. She's fine. Pedro Pascal's probably the most interesting because at least in the scenes where they have them shooting the actual movie in this, it's like for some reason his accent that he's putting on consistently changes all the time, which is just mildly amusing. You can tell he's sort of having fun with it, but yeah, everyone else, no. It goes for like 2 hours as well. It's like fucking so long. Felt like so long. Yeah, I wouldn't suggest watching this. I don't think this is good at all. I would suggest watching the trailer and just laughing at that as an idea of a movie. It's funny, but no, not good.
Last thing, Trust No One, The Hunt for the Crypto King. I think we talked about the trailer last time as well. So it's a documentary following a bunch of internet sleuths as they try to unlock the mystery of the suspicious death of cryptocurrency multimillionaire Jerry Cotton, and they're missing $250 million. So pretty much the story goes that, Jerry Cotton was running this company in Canada that was an exchange that lets you, exchange cryptocurrency for money and then buy cryptocurrency as well, called Quadriga CX. Slowly grew to become the biggest exchange in Canada, and then one day it just stopped working. And then several months later, he died in India, or it was announced that he died in India a month after he apparently did die.
Yeah. He died in like December, and they announced it in like late January or some shit.
Yes, but then the kicker is he was the only one with any of these passwords for any of this cryptocurrency. So all the money from all these users, all the cryptocurrency that his users had put in their wallets through the exchange was stuck there permanently, it seems. And yeah, people were trying to cover the conspiracy. Was he actually alive? Was his wife behind everything? What happened to all the money? I think it's a very well done documentary. Like, visually, it's quite interesting. A lot of interesting interviewees who are willing to talk. I think the most interesting interview in this movie is probably the wife's sister, who is like a point of view I feel like you don't get much in these kind of documentaries. It's always the wronged parties. This is like someone close to the family who's on their side. It's quite interesting. But yeah, the mystery kind of unravels over the course of the movie. And like kind of seeing that unfold. It's good, interesting, lots of like actual journalists doing journalistic stuff throughout the film. Yeah, I found it riveting. What about you, Don?
I feel like if someone knew this story, they would say that the documentary is like very drawn out, and you could potentially just watch the last 15 minutes for everything.
I mean, it is a little bit anticlimactic.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I really enjoyed it as someone who didn't like look up Wikipedia the dude, or I just watched it. I just went in. We watched a trailer for this a couple weeks ago. It was like, it's out soon. I'll just wait. I'll watch it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, by the time we got to the end and you find out like as much as we know, like as much as they told in the documentary, because not everything's sort of been solved yet, I guess. But I was like, yeah, that makes sense for fucking crypto fuck boys. That would add up for the type of characters they would be. Like that was my sort of thing. But yeah, I think the direction, I don't feel like it spends too long ever being like exploring a conspiracy path just to drag out the movie. Like it sort of goes every direction and like sort of quickly either debunks it or like goes, oh, this is the thing, or like, I don't know, like, yeah, I definitely feel like it was a snappy sort of go along, interesting documentary. That is just another reason
Don't get involved in crypto.
Don't get involved in
NFTs.
Yeah.
I thought it also had something interesting to say about conspiracy theorists in general. Like, it kind of ends with like, they'll, even if you disprove give them the answer, they'll find something else to try and keep their story going.
That one dude's like, they want to exhume the body, and if you exhume the body, they'll say it's fake. If you get a DNA test, they'll say the DNA test dude was in on it. They'll say, like all the which is true.
Which is true. Yeah. All right. That's everything that's been in our watch history. Let's talk about a little bit of news. Since our last episode of What Do You Want to Watch, we had the Academy Awards. We did a full discussion about the show, the awardees, and the moment that is still in the news cycle. Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. I understand why it's still in the news cycle, because it is this live, massive televised thing that happened that was completely unscripted, completely out of character, and it has made news. It has fueled news for several days. The latest kind of news being that Will Smith has resigned from the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts, or whatever it's called. But what that means is, yes, he will still get his Best Actor Oscar for King Richard. Yes, he will still get invited to future Academy Award ceremonies. Yes, he will still be nominated for future consideration, but he will not be a voting member of the Academy. The Academy is still conducting a formal investigation, and disciplinary process will be concluded on April 18th. The other news around this is a lot of Will Smith's other projects are currently being put on hold, mainly Bad Boys 4 through Sony, and then the Netflix project Fast and Loose, which was going to be directed by David Leitch, who dropped off the project before the Oscars. But yeah, Dylan, how have you felt about the reporting on the incident? I know you was kind of sick of it, like the 4 hours since when we recorded the episode, so I can't imagine you're super pleased about this story continuing.
Yeah, I think it's bullshit. I still think it's just overreacting. I don't think he should have been kicked out. I don't feel like he should have quit. I've definitely seen a lot of people bring up, and I think they're 100% right, that while every news outlet's covering this and making Will Smith out to be the worst person in the world, you've got Ezra Miller over here getting a fucking restraining order at a nightclub from a night after.
But that wasn't televised for billions of people to watch.
Yeah, I know, which I guess is the main point. But in the scheme of things, if that was televised and the slap was televised, it's what's worse, this morning I saw someone else tweet out about how fucking, Ansel Elgort still got 5 cases of sexual fucking allegations against him going on, and it's just come on,
yeah,
it's just it's sort of, yeah, all of that, when you boil down let's put things into perspective of not saying that it's okay to go on stage and slap someone, but where are we drawing the fucking line here with what the Academy thinks is acceptable to have as a member? I'm all right, you want to go down that road? Let's start. If you want to start doing that with Will Smith, let's start fucking kicking a lot of other people out of the fucking Academy then, as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think I would have liked them to have made a clear decision. We're getting several different reports about what actually happened during the ceremony, and they were going to ask him to. He was asked to leave, or no, he wasn't asked to leave. They decided they were going to remove him, and somebody, Will Packer, decided no, he wasn't going to be removed or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to hear the full story whenever we get to hear it down the line. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not the worst thing someone has ever done at the Oscars, as has been reported several times by several other sources. And every possible terrible situation that's been brought up before. But yeah, obviously it wasn't a good look, especially in this day and age. To do that wasn't smart. I think that's the biggest thing. It wasn't a smart thing to do. But yeah, I suspect this will all blow over in the next 6 months or so, and then, all those projects will be back on. Yeah, so my opinion, they're not going to take the Oscar away from him. I think that's pretty clear. Maybe he'll be banned from the ceremony for a couple of years or something, but yeah, that'll be the extent of it, I think. Yes, but if you didn't know, Coda was the big Best Picture winner, taking the award, becoming the first, making Apple TV Plus the first streaming service to win the Best Picture. Dylan, my question is Apple TV Plus secretly becoming the best streaming service? Content-wise.
I mean, haven't we said before that, like, sort of bang for buck or, like, dollar for dollar or whatever the saying is, that Apple TV probably is the best streaming service? You know,
probably.
like,
It's only, what, $7 a month? Because my 6-month subscription, free subscription just finished.
I feel like I've barely paid for it, to be honest. That's the other thing with Apple TV. It's like, I got like a year free, and then they extended it to 18 months free, and then I got 3 months for something else, and then I got PS5, and then like, here's 6 months. I feel like I've paid for like a month ever. Like, it's just like constantly like, here's more free. I'm like, whatever. I mean, I'm good to go, I guess, but yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel like Apple, if you've never dived onto stuff on it, it's quite funny because obviously when we did that first episode with the Simon, shout out to Simon Blackbird from Take My Tone, we did that first one discussing like the Apple stuff on here, and was like, I feel like them was like, look, all these shows are great, like hopefully more people watch it, you know, and even to you, like you at the time, I'm like, you can watch Apple stuff, like you just have to watch it for free. And then also at the time, like trying to explain that to Nick as well, like on here, and be like, you can watch this stuff, like Nick, you don't need.
No,
an
I don't have
device.
Apple
Like,
device.
Yeah, like, and there was a whole thing, and I think it was discussing back then, like, maybe a lot of people were watching Apple stuff, even though there was all these great shows on there, because they didn't understand they could watch it. I feel like maybe that boundary is being broken now with the app that's on the consoles and the everything. App that's on the TV. Like, yeah, it's a lot more accessible now. But yeah, I definitely feel like as far as like quality, like they don't have a fuck ton, but like Apple TV, just they're between the films and the TVs and the specials, docos, all that sort of stuff. They're definitely hitting like quality a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think they're definitely up there. I feel like their output is like increasing exponentially. Like the last few Thumb for Trailer segments, we've had at least one. We've got a couple more this week. Spoilers. It feels like they've got content coming out consistently. Like they finally hit all the stuff that they've been planning for is starting to come to fruition, content wise, and like starting to come out. So yeah, I think if you're not subscribed to Apple TV Plus, you're missing out, because it's definitely got to be at least top 3 streaming services running at the moment.
I keep saying I want to do an article ranking them all, but we never get there.
Well, maybe at the end of the year. It's like, that seems like a good point to do.
I'd like to update it every year, like sort of. You know,
yep. Speaking of streaming services, Disney Plus has gotten a bit of backlash this week. So of course, recently, the Marvel shows have been released on Disney Plus. The Netflix shows were released on Disney Plus, which of course was quite, they're all M-rated. Along with these more mature Marvel Cinematic shows, the House of Mouse introduced new parental controls that allowed users to set content ratings restrictions and an optional PIN number for profiles in the US. However, despite these latest features, it looks like there's still been some censorship going on at Disney Plus, and surprisingly, it wasn't on any of the recent editions of the darker sides of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was actually on an episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The director pointed out that certain scenes from an episode were altered to make them less violent. Both alterations were made from the third episode, in which is entitled Power Broker. First scene is in question features Daniel Brühl as Baron Zemo as he kills ex-Hydra agent scientist Wilfred Nagel. Initially, blood from the kill shot is splattered on the ground and eyes remained open. In the edited version, the blood is removed and the eyes are closed. The second edited scene is a blink and you miss a moment, but when you're looking for it, it's hard to miss. The edit happens when a bounty hunter in Madripoor are chasing Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan through towers of shipping containers to one of the pursuers off their to get one of their pursuers off their tail. Bucky throws a pipe at her. Originally goes through her shoulder and pins her to a container, but the edited version sees the pipe bounce off the bounty hunter and off screen. Dylan, how do you feel about Disney censoring their shows?
Maybe I'm giving too much benefit of doubt here, but I think maybe they're doing a thing where, well, this is what I'd like to hope. is that they were actually trying to do versions that if you have certain parental controls on, you can still watch the shows, but they've got slight changes.
Yes. That would be my hope as well, as to why they're doing this.
Yeah, and that would make sense. And then if it's accidentally playing or they overloaded it or whatever, because I just don't. I literally wouldn't understand why after all this time they've suddenly gone back and changed the Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show. Like that's really weird.
Yeah, financially it doesn't make sense. Why would you go? Yeah. Why would you spend money to edit it?
Yeah, for no reason.
After
it's already out. For months it's been out, So, yeah, I think that's what I'm leaning towards, and that it's just a fuck up. And then if that's what they're doing, so there's still options for people who, they want, like, kids to potentially be able to watch it for a show like Falcon and Winter Soldier.
If their kids are, like, in the room, like, you could still watch it, and it would be...
Yeah, okay. And you just, like, change to get rid of the blood or whatever. Like, if that's what it is, I don't care. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, if that's what they want to do. If they wanted to put edited, like, PVG versions as well as the original version.
If they're changing it, that's horrible.
If they're changing it permanently, like the actual only version you can get, that's not good. But yeah, if there's an option of a cleaner version, I guess, or more PG version, that's all right. But yeah, it is a weird story, and like kind of, especially it being the Winter Soldier and the Falcon, which has been out for, like you said, almost a year at this point. Yeah, seems like a weird thing. But yeah, if they were to do like edited versions and like you could take out like foul language or whatever, that would be a nifty feature, I guess, to have. But yeah, interesting. Dylan, I know that we said that was everything our watch history, but there is one more thing that came out in the last 2 weeks that we should talk about. They released the deleted scene from The Batman of Batman's conversation with the Joker, played by Barry Keoghan. This was it was a reward for people solving a bunch of things on the Rattata website. And we get a full sequence in which Batman is visiting the Joker, and Batman gives the Joker a case file on the Riddler, trying to get his insights, like getting I don't know what you call it, like a
Hannibal Lecter,
a profile on the Riddler or whatever. Dylan, what do you think of the deleted scene?
It's fine, but I'm glad it wasn't in the movie. Like watching it, you're like, yep, I'm glad that was in it. But I'm also like, probably could delete that one, because as I said, I didn't want that in the movie either. I think both should have been deleted. So there you go. My thoughts on him as a Joker? Meh. Love it, don't hate it, whatever. Like, don't love it, don't hate it, I mean. Definitely need to see more, but I'm neither here nor there on it. It's definitely still, again, feels in line with that sort of Scott Snyder inspired Joker stuff that I was saying when we talked about the movie last time. I think it's got that sort of that vibe, which fits with the rest of the movie in this universe, I guess. But yeah, as I said when we discussed in the spoiler cast or whatever, kind of over the Joker at this point. Would have preferred him to stay out of this universe for at least a little bit. Didn't get me super excited personally. I watched it, was like, cool, whatever. Like,
I liked it. I thought it was quite good. Like, I like the camera work. Like, you're never getting a really good look at him, which, is true of the other scene. I think it's good that it was deleted, because obviously they've got some information in there that would have kind of ruined some of the surprise towards the end and like some of the revelations and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I thought it was quite a good sequence, and like felt very like The Killing Joke, where Batman goes and visits the Joker in Arkham and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I thought interesting. Also, interesting note, he gives him the papers with a paperclip on one of the sheets, and then when he gives it back, there's no paperclip there anymore. Like, continuity error, was it setting up like how he escapes? Ooh. Crazy. But yeah, good thing it's deleted. I think it was a cool marketing thing. Like, oh, we've got this scene that's deleted, so like if you solve all these puzzles over this marketing tie-in site, then we'll release the trailer to everybody. So yeah, just to keep the Batman discussion going, I guess, for after it's released.
I mean, it's out on VOD soon anyway, isn't it? So
yeah, it's about to hit HBO Max, I guess, and then it'll be on VOD at the same time, I assume, because, you know,
premium VOD or whatever.
Yeah, premium VOD. Absolutely. Dylan, every single week, there's so many different projects, announcements, different things that are happening in the industry you know, there's too many to discuss all of them, give them the full time. So we do a segment that we like to call Which One to Invest, in which Dylan decides if he would like to fully invest, partially invest, or not invest in these different projects based on any criteria that he decides on. You know, then history will be the judge of whether he made good choices or not. Good times. First story for this week. Damien Lindelof and Tara Hernandez's mysterious new TV show has landed its lead. Betty Gilpin is set to star in Peacock's Mrs. Davis. Not much is known about the show, but apparently the Ghost Star will reportedly play a nun who goes up against an all-powerful AI in the series, which is billed as an exploration of faith versus technology.
Fully invest.
All right.
I think that Betty Gilpin, right?
Gilpin.
I think she's got like a lot of star power these days. Recognizable. She's really good in lead too. I think she's sort of proven that recently. And Damon Lindelof is really good at these sort of wild show ideas, especially when they relate to AI and futuristic ideas. And this actually sounds unique. And I think with her in the lead, that a lot of potential there. So I'm going to fully invest on this one.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Next one. The story of one of America's most beloved TV personalities, Johnny Carson, may finally be coming to the screen. A high-profile series starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Carson, written by Deadwood creator David Milch, and to be directed by Jay Roach, was recently taken out and heating up the premium marketplace. The series will follow the life and career of late-night TV pioneer Johnny Carson from New York to Los Angeles to the Las Vegas Strip. King of Late Night will reveal how Johnny's die-hard connection to his audience overlapped with his lifelong desire for a basic quality of life, and how his beloved on-screen personality persona came into conflict with the more colourful aspects of his personal life.
I'll go partially invest on this one. I don't know. I just nothing against Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but I just can't picture that, to be honest. Like as Carson, like I can't actually picture him as Carson. But so I'll go partial. Like there's potential for a good show here. I can't see him doing it. As much as I like him as an actor, I'll go partial.
Okay, interesting. All right, Mae Whitman has locked her first post-Good Girls role. She needs to warm up her vocal cords for this one. The actress is signed on to the star in the Hulu musical Up Here, according to her sister site Deadline. Set in New York City in 1999, the romantic comedy follows a couple who fall in love while working to overcome the fears and fantasies inside their own heads. Whitman will play Lindsay, who moves from a small town in Vermont to the Big Apple to find out who she is. Up Here, which has earned an 8-episode series order from the streamer, is written by Stephen Levinson from Tick Tick Boom and Daniel Sanchez Witzel, The Carmichael Show, with original music from the Frozen songwriting duo of Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez. Thomas Kail from Hamilton is set to direct.
I'm going partial invest. Like, there's some talent there that makes you go, this is sure to be hit. But I feel like at some stage people are going to stop caring about, like even, I also feel like the same way for Lin-Manuel Miranda, where like for a while it was just like attaching his name to something was like people would want to watch it. But I honestly feel like we're approaching a stage now where there's a burnout expectation that it'll always be great, or like there's going to be something that's eventually
the audience
bad.
is going to turn on him.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe this could be it. Like, I know it's not Lin-Manuel Miranda, but it's that general idea of like, from those guys who did the thing that you really liked and these other people from the thing you really like, you fucking love musicals these days. Don't use audiences like, so yeah, I'll go partial. Yeah.
All right. Panos Cosmatos has kept a low profile since making his last film, Mandy. The surprise hit that starred Nicolas Cage and was released in 2018. Now the filmmaker is back with a new project, reuniting with producers XYZ Films and working for the first time with A24. titled Necrocosm. The project is a sci-fi fantasy that has Megan Howing from Counterpart writing the script, from a story by her and Cosmos. Cosmos will direct. Necrocosm's logline is being kept secret, but the film is described as a phantasmagorical fantasy nightmare and is set deep within a strange galaxy where two lovers are torn apart as they try to survive a malevolent invasion.
I have no idea what the fuck you
words.
just said, but you said A24 and from the director of Mandy, so full invest.
I figured that might be the case. Alright. Apple TV has handed a 9-episode order to Dark Matter, an adaptation of Blake Crouch's acclaimed sci-fi novel, with Joel Edgerton attached to star and executive produce, and Arthur Crouch to serve as writer and showrunner. Hailed as one of the best sci-fi novels of the decade, Dark Matter is a story about the road not taken. The series will follow Jason Dessen, a physicist, professor, and family man who one night, while walking home on the streets of Chicago, is abducted into an alternative version of his life. Wonder quickly turns to nightmare when he tries to return to his reality amid the multiverses of his lives he could have lived. In this labyrinth of mind-bending realities, he embarks on a harrowing journey to get back to his true family and save them from the most terrifying, unbeatable foe imaginable, himself.
No, I'm not investing.
Okay. Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans are set to star in buzzy new movie package Project Artemis, we can reveal, with Ozark star, director, and executive producer Jason Bateman aboard to direct. Fresh off their Best Picture win, Apple has swooped in on the in-demand package with a $100 million deal. Plot details are being kept tightly under wraps, but we hear the project is set against the space race. The screenplay comes from Rose Gilroy, the daughter of writer-director Dan Gilroy and Rene Russo.
Fully invest. I'm looking to bank some money.
All right. Last one. Catherine Bigelow is heading to Netflix. The Oscar-winning filmmaker who hasn't made a film since 2017's race drama Detroit has set up her latest feature project titled Aurora at the streamer. The project adapts the upcoming book by David Corp, the veteran screenwriter who counts Jurassic Park, the first Mission Impossible movie, and Spider-Man among his numerous credits. Aurora follows the events of a solar storm that knocks out most of humanity's power grids and focuses on the personal story of a divorced mother who must do everything she can to protect her teenager and her estranged brother, a wealthy Silicon Valley CEO who has built a luxurious bunker in the desert for such a disaster.
I partially invest. I think Catherine Bigelow's a good director. I don't think The Hurt Locker was anywhere near her best film, but I'll go partial invest. So yeah, sure.
All right, that's it. Let us know what you would have invested in on Twitter, and let Dylan know what mistakes he's made. Let's give some thumbs to trailers. Of course, you can find all the links to the different trailers we're talking about this week in the show notes below, or by going to explosion.com/what do you want to watch and find this episode. The first trailer for this week is Shining Girls, created by Silka Luisa, starring Elizabeth Moss, Wagner Moura, Jamie Bell, Philippa Sue, Amy Brenneman. Years after a brutal attack left her in a constantly shifting reality, Kirby learns that a recent murder is linked to her assault. She teams with a veteran reporter to understand her ever-changing present and confront her past. Dylan, what do you think of this trailer?
This is awesome. Double thumbs up. I'm all about it. Two great actors. Wagner Moura looks great in this. Elizabeth Moss always looks great. So, very creamy. It's like sort of it looks like your normal sort of HBO, dark detective sort of murder mystery sort of thing going on, and then you involve some more sort of, I don't know, sci-fi, psychological. It's like, who
time
knows?
Travel.
Like time travel. Like I don't know. Like lots of potential directions and ideas for this show to go. Definitely double thumbs up. I didn't know anything about this, and watching this, I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go. Came for this. Yeah,
this is 2 thumbs up from me as well. I think it's like really compelling trailer. Jamie Bell looks freaky as fuck. Lots of creepy elements in there, and like it seems like it'll be an interesting mystery to kind of unfold over the several episodes. So yeah, This is coming to Apple TV Plus from April 29th. Next trailer, Under the Banner of Heaven, created by Dustin Lance Black, starring Andrew Garfield, Daisy Edgar Jones, Sam Worthington, Denise Gough, Wyatt Russell, Billy Howe, Gil Birmingham, Adelaide Clement, and Rory Culkin. As Detective Jeb Pyer investigates the murder of Brenda Wright Lafferty and her baby daughter in a suburb in the Salt Lake Valley, he uncovers the buried truths about the origins of the LDS religion and the violent consequences of unyielding faith. Dylan, what do you think of Under the Banner of Heaven?
Look, again, it looked like a HBO show, but it wasn't. It's FX, so surprise, surprise. I'm keen to check it out. I feel like there's something just slightly off about this. I'm not sure what, though. Maybe it was just because it felt like it was trying to be too much like a HBO thing, or maybe that was just me. I don't know. Was that a? Do you think that was a?
No, it definitely felt like, it was going for that True Detective, maybe like a Mayor of Easttown kind of vibe.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm pushing this on myself, but so I'll go one up, one down. It's because I feel like I was like, I want to watch this because I like the genre less so than the trailer grabbed my attention, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't feel like the trailer did anything of it to push me there more so than just seeing the poster would have done. And I would have been like, yeah, I'll probably check that out. Like, I like that genre. I like this actor. I'll check it out. The trailer was just like, cool.
No, I'll give it 2 thumbs up. I think they built up, obviously, it being a gruesome murder, like the slow build of everybody going into that room and seeing what happened, and kind of having their different disgusted reactions, kind of hinting at the religious element and how much that bigger community holds to it. It's very much like a very Mormon kind of community. I thought it looks interesting, and Andrew Garfield, I'm going to see anything he's in at the moment, so yeah, this exciting. So this one is coming to Hulu on the 28th of April. It is slated to come to Disney Plus. There is no confirmation if it's going to be day and date, though, so look forward to that. Next one, Duel, directed by Riley Stearns, starring Karen Gillan, Balua Kowali, Theo James, and Aaron Paul. Upon receiving a terminal diagnosis, Sarah opts for a cloning procedure to ease her loss on her friends and family. When she makes a sudden and miraculous recovery, her attempts to decommission her clone fail, leading to a court-mandated duel to the death. Now she has 1 year to train her mind and body for the fight of her life. Dylan, what do you think of this one?
Double thumbs up. I feel like this is a new genre. It's like
earlier this year or late last year, there was the Mahershala Ali movie, Swan Song.
Which I
involved
clones.
Yes.
But there's a genre. It's not just the clones. It's almost like Black Mirror stuff. Just anything that feels like it's a Black Mirror episode, but it's a movie. Or Alex Garland would make it. Or you know what I mean? There's just this I feel like I could pick it. He's trying. I go, that's this genre that I'm thinking of. I don't know what I'd name it. This is the weird. This is the shit. Black Mirror genre, sort of thing. Anyway, this is what that falls into. It's it also feels like it could have been directed by Virgo, whatever the dude who did Killing of a Sacred Deer and The Lobster and Virgo.
Yorgos Lanthimos.
That dude. This almost feels like he could have made this movie in another world. It's almost that very direct, dark humor, serious sort of tone, sort of thing. But at first I was watching it, I'm like, another clone thing. And then you got Jewel to death. I'm like, all right, let's go. I'm down. Double thumbs up.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up from me as well. I think obviously Karen Gillan looks fantastic in this as both her normal self and her clone self. And her clone self, kind of being, you can tell straight away she's a little bit of a bitch, which is interesting, seeing as it's meant to be a clone version of herself. You would assume it'd be exactly the same, but maybe not. The whole concept of she suddenly recovers and they have to fight a duel to the death, and his response is having 2 of you around, that would be ridiculous. Very amusing. I'm definitely keen to check this out. Aaron Paul looks solid. Yeah, I'm sure it'll just be weird craziness. So this is releasing in America on the 15th of April, but there is no release date yet for here in Australia.
Fuck shit.
Yep. Seeing as you brought up Alex Garland, let's talk about his new trailer for Men, directed by Alex Garland, starring Jesse Buckley and Rory Kinnear. In the aftermath of a personal tragedy, Harper retreats alone to the beautiful English countryside, hoping to find a place to heal. However, someone or something from the surrounding woods appears to be stalking her. What begins as a simmering dread soon becomes a fully formed nightmare inhabited by her darkest memories and fears. Dylan, what do you think of Men? The movie trailer.
Yes. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I'm double thumbs up keen for it. Because it's a very weird trailer. It's Alex Garland. It's Jesse Buckley. Roy Kinnear, who looks fucking weird as fuck in this. Playing like a bunch of characters. Which is weird, because I think the last thing it was obviously James Bond, so. And then the other girl that's in this I quite like too. I can't remember her name. Yeah, I like the cast. I like the director. I don't know what's going on, but I'm very keen to watch it. So, when's it? Do we have a date? I can't remember.
16th of June.
No?
In cinemas. So it is coming.
Yeah, the other girl's, she's out of Glow, whatever her name is.
I have to rewatch the
She plays the one who like dresses up as like the monster. Hold on, I'll find her name.
It's the she-wolf.
Yeah. Gail Rankin.
Okay. Interesting.
Sheila the she-wolf.
Yeah, it looks scary as fuck. I'm not keen to check it out.
Really?
But as a trailer, I think it's 2 thumbs up. It's like, yeah, that looks... What is more terrifying than a bunch of men?
Have you watched... You even watching...
I watched Annihilation.
Did you? Okay. Well, you watched
I watched
Annihilation.
a couple episodes of Devs.
Sure you could survive this.
No, this looks like full-on horror stuff. But yeah, I think, interesting concepts. Jessie Buckley is like the it actress at the moment, I think. She's in a bunch of stuff. But yeah, this looks creepy. I don't want to buy of it. But there's a trailer. It's
you are such a baby.
Yeah, such a baby. Yeah, I'm glad we're getting to the point where we're discovering what the scariest thing is. It's like creepy old men.
I like how movies are just now men. No. Like
nope. Yeah.
What are my most excited movies for the year? I'm really looking forward to Men and Nope. Like
I mean, I can't believe that the title's never been used before. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Last trailer. Speaking of Glow, last trailer is Raw, created by Liz Flahive and Carly Mensch, who previously did Glow.
Fuck, I set this good up for you, didn't I?
Yeah. What a great way. I actually had these last two switched around, but, segues. Starring Nicole Kidman, Cynthia Erivo, Merritt Weaver, Alison Brie, Betty Gilpin, Mira Sayal, Fievel Stewart, Cara Hayward, and Issa Rae, based on a book of short stories by Cecilia Ahern. This genre-bending anthology series weaves together 8 darkly comedic feminist fables that take unexpected approaches to subjects like gender roles, autonomy, and identity. Dylan, what do you think of this trailer?
Talking about Black Mirror. Yeah, this looks really good. Double thumbs up. I'm very keen. I like the cast. I like the completely out there setup to a lot of these stories. Like the one where it's just like, oh, there's a mantle. What's going up there? You are, dear. Like I like when they play these sorts of things just completely dead serious, which something like Black Mirror does as well, with some of the really out there ideas and stuff as well, which makes it work. But yeah, the cast is really good. The stories all look wildly different, and they all either look fucked up or weird or kind of silly and maybe funny and whatever else. So yeah, I'm definitely keen to watch this. I thought this was a really good trailer. Double thumbs up.
Yeah, this 2 thumbs up from me as well. I think it's a bunch of craziness. Like, the trailer opens with Nicole Kidman looking at a photo album at a bunch of photos, picks one up, has a look at it, just shoves it in her mouth, eats it. What a way to open your just setting the tone. and trying to giving you a taste of each of the 8 episodes and the different stories that are going to be told.
I like how they're all called like the woman who ate photographs, the woman on the mantle, the woman who
really interesting, and like gives you a like clearer vision of what to expect. And kind of, I guess, what episodes to look forward to. You've got one where a lady is like finding bite marks all over her, but then you've also got an episode when apparently Merritt Weaver is falling in love with a duck.
Yeah, and also one where it's like, "Oh yeah, have you tried returning your husband?" I'm just kidding. Hello, I'd like to return my husband. What reasons? What reasons? Like,
yeah, I'm definitely keen to check this out, and just the format, knowing it's going to be an anthology series with like 30-minute episodes, with the caliber of people involved, it's like very very keen, very on board. So yeah, this is coming to Apple TV Plus 15th of April. It's not long to wait. All right, let's wrap up this week's episode of What Do You Want to Watch with our What Do You Want to Watch top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
And in tribute to Bruce Willis retiring from acting, we're doing our top 3 Bruce Willis films. Obviously, an actor who's been around for a long time, done a lot of movies. And very sad, him dealing with apoplegia and having to retire. So yeah, Dylan, what is your number 3?
I feel like my list isn't that exciting, because especially my like sort of number 1 and 2 picks, but just got to go with what you got to go. But number 3 on my list is actually The Whole 9 Yards. So this is the one where Bruce Willis plays a mob, like sort of retired mob dude living next to Matthew Perry's character, and then Matthew Perry's character like starts thinking he's like mob related, and his wife, who's played by who is it, Rosanna Arquette, like goes to get him to like hire a hit on Matthew Perry, and then all these other hijinks and things occur, and other like things from Bruce Willis's characters. Who's what's his character's name? Jimmy the Tulip. There you go. Jimmy the Tulip like comes back to haunt him and all this sort of stuff. I watched this a lot on DVD back when I was in high school. I thought it was like fucking great. I thought it was very funny. Whole 10 Yards is like okay, but I very much like this.
All right. My list is going to be very personal as well, and probably not going to be the same as everybody else's list. My number 3 is The Fifth Element. The Luc Besson directed crazy sci-fi adventure, and with which Bruce Willis plays Corbin Dallas, a taxi driver and former special forces agent who, after uncovering a young woman in his cab, joins forces with her and in order to recover 4 mythical stones essential for the defense of Earth against the impending attack of a malevolent cosmic entity. Normal stuff. Fifth Element is fantastic. Bruce Willis is really fun and engaging in that movie. So yeah, that's my number 3. Dylan, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is also The Fifth Element.
Woo!
I mean, it's I used to watch this a lot growing up. It's one of my dad's favorite films, so I used to have it on quite a lot. Growing up, multi-pass, all that sort of stuff. Corbin Dallas, loved it. Played the PS1 game quite a lot. Really enjoyed that. Just like an old-time sci-fi classic, I guess. Yeah.
All right. My number 2 is Looper, the 2012 Rian Johnson directed action sci-fi thriller, in which Bruce Willis plays an older version of Joseph Gordon-Levitt who has to go back in time and kill people. It's a good time. It's probably, arguably, Bruce Willis's last great role. So very fitting and across the board, a lot of fun. Dylan, I think I can guess what your number 1 is, but what's your number 1 Bruce Willis film?
The Expendables? No, Die Hard. It's Die Hard, of course. How could everyone not make one of these lists without mentioning Die Hard somewhere? I'd be surprised if most people don't have Die Hard as number 1. One of the greatest action films of all time. One of the greatest Christmas movies of all time. I think it's the role that Bruce Willis will probably go down most known for out of everything he's ever done. John McClane is just one of those sort of, he is those sort of classic 80s, 90s sort of action hero characters. Yeah, I mean, what else to say? I've watched the movie a billion times. Could happily watch it every year and enjoy it as much. It's one of the greatest movies of all time. And his standout sort of charisma and everything definitely makes that movie. I mean, action's good and everything as well, but it's definitely like Bruce Willis carrying that role and just a lot of the muttering to himself, and because he's playing off himself for the majority of the movie. So, yeah, he does such a great job with it.
My number one, unexpected. It's Cop Out, the Kevin Smith film in which he's like, he really had a great time. I'm sorry. No, my number one. It's Armageddon, a movie that I've watched many times as a kid. Bruce Willis plays a driller, I think. Yes, the leader of a drill team.
They're all miners because
all miners, yeah,
or some drilling or mining. They give some stupid
stuff.
reason why they have to fucking.
They all get sent to space, you know. And Bruce Willis is the leader of the crew, looking after everybody. Yeah, fantastic movie. Bruce Willis is great in it, and you know, I don't want to close my eyes. I don't want to miss a thing because I'll miss you, babe. Just let us know your top 3. I would have said Die Hard, but you know, I'd only seen it recently, so I felt like there was a little bit disingenuous. But lots of great Bruce Willis movies across the board. So yeah, let us know your top 3. We're going to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter or jump into Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, just leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, or tell people about the show, or leave us 5 stars anywhere that you can leave 5 stars. And if you like this episode, thought it was worth $1, head over to a cover page at explosionnetwork.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.